Hello, how are you? Maybe you're not drifting away from people by accident. Maybe you're starting to see too much. Have you ever thought about that? Why is it that the more you reflect, the less you feel like being around everyone? Why do conversations that once felt normal now feel empty, superficial, predictable, repetitive? And the strangest part is, it starts to bother you. Deep down, you feel like something is off, but you can't fully explain it. Now think about this. Why did some of the greatest minds in history struggle with social life? Why did they avoid crowds, events, unnecessary interactions? Were they arrogant, or simply different? The truth is far more uncomfortable than it seems. The most brilliant minds in history didn't love society. They avoided it. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most brutally honest thinkers of the 19th century, had a very harsh perspective on this. He believed most people are trapped in empty distractions, shallow conversations, constantly seeking validation, people who talk a lot but rarely think deeply, people who follow patterns without ever questioning them. And maybe the most disturbing part is this: it all feels normal because everyone is part of it. But once you start seeing beyond it, it becomes unbearable. And that's exactly why the mind that seeks depth begins to withdraw, not out of choice, but out of incompatibility. Because once your mind craves depth, surface-level reality is no longer enough. And that's when solitude begins. Quiet, gradual, almost inevitable. But here's the dangerous question. Is isolation a sign of superiority, or just a sophisticated form of disconnection? Because there's another side that no one likes to admit. What if this distance isn't growth? What if it's just an inability to connect, a defense mechanism, an escape? Do you see the conflict? On one side, the idea that great minds need solitude. On the other, the possibility that it's just isolation in disguise. So where does the truth lie? For Arthur Schopenhauer, the answer was simple and brutal. He believed the world is filled with superficial people, driven by small impulses, distracted by meaningless entertainment, while those who think deeply simply don't fit in. As he once said, solitude is the fate of all exceptional minds. And maybe that includes you. Now, look at history for a moment. Nikola Tesla avoided human interaction to protect his focus. Isaac Newton had little patience for small talk and social life. Emily Dickinson lived most of her life in isolation, yet created some of the most profound poetry ever written. Coincidence? Or is there a pattern hiding in plain sight? Because the more you understand the world, the less it makes sense. Conversations feel shallow, interests feel predictable, people start to feel repetitive, and then something shifts. You stop forcing interactions, you stop pretending to care, you start pulling back, not because you hate people, but because you can't relate anymore. That's when isolation begins to feel natural, not like a decision, but like a consequence. But here's the problem: the same solitude that frees you also weighs on you. Friedrich Nietzsche once suggested that the crowd drowns the free spirit. But he also understood the cost of standing alone, because at the end of the day, you're still human, and humans crave connection. So now you're stuck in a paradox. You can't fully connect, but you also can't completely detach. You see too much to fit in, but you still feel the absence of something real. And that's where the tension lives, because the deeper your mind goes, the narrower your circle becomes. Not everyone can follow your thoughts. Not everyone can understand your perspective. And most won't even try. That's why so many great thinkers felt misunderstood in their own time, not because they were wrong, but because they were ahead. And the world doesn't easily accept what it doesn't understand. Sometimes it rejects it, sometimes it mocks it, sometimes it isolates it. So the question becomes, are you alone because you've outgrown people, or because you've disconnected from them? Because there's a very thin line between the two, and crossing it changes everything. So what are you supposed to do with all of this? If seeing too much distances you from people, what's the right way to live? Should you isolate yourself completely, disappear from the world? No, Arthur Schopenhauer didn't believe total isolation was the answer. Instead, he proposed something far more powerful: detachment.com, the ability to be around people without being consumed by them, to observe without absorbing everything, to exist in the world without becoming a product of it. Because the truth is, society often rewards distraction, not depth, noise, not clarity. And if you're not careful, you slowly become part of it. That's why solitude isn't just an escape. It's a tool, a space where your mind can breathe, think clearly, and reconnect with what actually matters. But here's the balance most people miss. Too much isolation, and you lose touch with reality. Too much social noise, and you lose yourself. The key is learning how to move between both, to choose your interactions carefully, to protect your energy, to stop seeking validation from people who don't even understand your direction. Friedrich Nietzsche once implied that those who walk their own path must be prepared to walk it alone, not because they are better, but because they are different, and difference comes with a cost, but also with an advantage, because when you're no longer distracted by the noise, you start building something rare. Clarity, self-awareness, independence, and in a world full of people constantly seeking attention, that makes you dangerous. So now the question isn't just about solitude anymore, it's about awareness. Are you isolating yourself out of fear, or evolving beyond what no longer fits you? Are you escaping, or are you becoming? Because those are two completely different paths, and only one of them leads to growth. In the end, maybe solitude was never a punishment. Maybe it was an invitation. Now, the choice is yours. Will you go back to the noise, or will you embrace the silence and become someone unrecognizable?